Welcome back to the Team LoCoFit Roundtable. I'm your host, Lauren Conlon, and this week we're actually doing something super fun. We are calling it The Rant. Loco Tits Out is kind of the other tagline that we could possibly be using. And I'm not going to mess up the intro because this was actually Sam's idea. So I'm going to kick it off to Sam, and she's going to intro this whole idea and how we came up with it.
Yeah, so Lauren and I did a podcast that'll come out in a few weeks on navigating the online space, and we kind of got into the nitty-gritty of things online that are annoying. And it's not really what we were like trying to talk about, but we started getting there. And so instead of ranting on that podcast, we decided to save all the things we wanted to rant about for this podcast. So we have an extensive list of a lot of things that we feel we could all rant on extensively. So
It's
we're
like a
going
never-ending
to
story of ranting. It's kind of what
exactly. It's just going to be the infinite rant on all of these things. And so it's randomly generated. We're going to have these things pop up. We probably won't get through the whole list because there's a lot of things that set us off. And we're just going to literally go off.
what's the name, Sam? So Sam was looking up if you guys know like the Big Five personality test, where we like all of us always talk about it, right? And me and Sam both super highly neurotic, and we like make fun of it because we make fun of ourselves. And you were typing something, and you just out of the blue, this is like middle of the afternoon, you send me, you're like, I feel so attacked. And it was like a minute until the picture came, and I'm like, okay. And then the picture comes and it's like synonyms for like neurotic, and it was like maladaptive, psychopath, all this stuff. And I was like, that should be our rebrand for
The maladapted psychopaths.
what?
Tell me, I didn't know that was what that meant, but yeah, if you want to have a good laugh this afternoon, look up synonyms for narcissism.
No, neurotic.
Oh, neurotic. Yeah,
You're
not
not a
narcissism. That was
narcissist
the
at
other
all.
podcast. Me? Not at all. No, but look up for yeah, neurotic. It's pretty jarring to say the least.
Good times.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit the first one.
Okay, let's do it. All right.
Preface, whatever. This is a few days before Christmas, so there's a few like holiday ones in here. So if anybody's listening, like back, you're like, why are they talking about Christmas shit? Well, because it's gonna be Christmas in like a few days. So
Yeah. And if you're not watching this, we're all here. So it's me, Sam, Lauren, Danny, who's muted, and Karina. Hi.
Hi.
and okay, super again, my issues. What wine are you drinking, Karina? Because this is just so funny and on brand for us.
So I have the taste buds of a 6-year-old, and I don't really like normal wine. Like my wine has to taste like Welch's grape juice, and so Lauren has introduced me to liquid popsicle. If you can see it on the screen, I'm just focus. I'm just playing. It's really, really good. Highly recommend it for anyone who's like me. And it's 13% alcohol, which is not
So
bad.
that's why I got it. So I was like, all right, I gotta get Karina some sweet
But
shit
it
that I would
grape juice, so it's amazing.
never drink this, right? But I was like, liquid popsicle sounds like a banging name, and it was 13%. So I was like, I'm here for this because a lot of the sweet ones are like fucking,
All
8,
sugar.
yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's just hilarious because I was like, here's yours, Karina. Then she sent it to me, and like, here's my. How do I do it? Why do people do the backhand?
To focus, like when people are doing like makeup tutorials or like to focus, I just that as like a silly thing.
So there's somebody who's very like sad and nihilistic under a tree, and that's my new favorite one.
It's definitely very me. Thank you, Lauren.
And I'm just drinking 19 Crimes. Just
single
again, on
bottle
brand.
because that is the most Sam thing I've ever heard.
The mini bottles. Gotta pace myself.
Not does not like wine, but we still love her.
I know. Listen. I'm gonna change that. Give me another year.
I didn't even like the liquid popsicle one. Okay, and that's like sweet. So
No, you didn't have that one. You had the other one.
oh, I thought you gave me liquid popsicle.
No, I gave you the Witching Hour Sweet Red Blend because I got you and Karina 2 because I was like, all right, I gotta get options, and I don't know what these taste like.
So good.
And Danielle's like, this is so strong. And I was like, oh, maybe it is. I haven't had it. And I tried it. I was like, oh my God.
You can't even taste like any alcohol in the liquid popsicle, which is obviously why I like it, which also makes it very dangerous because I could easily like drink like 4 glasses.
What's that place we will go that literally has the popsicle in the wine? That's so good. We have it at lunch usually.
Del Frisco's.
Yes. If you guys have a Del Frisco's, it's like a chain, like I don't know how
So
many
good.
they have, but they have really good stuff in general. Like every time we go there, it's always fucking awesome. But they have this sangria. It's like a white sangria, and it has like a popsicle, like an alcoholic popsicle with like fruit inside of it.
So good.
Perfect for lunch. All right.
Poor Valley.
Well, with a salad too. You know, like we usually get like,
Perfect for your midday pick me up.
okay, go to the fucking questions.
Okay, here we
Is
go.
Lauren an alcoholic? Is that the first question?
It's an literally the first one is drink pushers.
All right, I got this one. Lauren, drink pusher. Let's rant about this. Every time I'm at Lauren's house, I'm like, Lauren, I'll have one drink and I'm good. No matter what, I always end up drinking like 3 or 4 because she's like, no, you need a little bit more. Without my consent, always refills my
Oh yeah, you seem like you really hate it, Karina. You always
well,
have
now I like it. But at first, when I was just, like a naive, young, innocent child, now I'm addicted to liquid popsicle. So beware of drink pushers.
Can attest, I flew in from Minnesota after a full day of caring for my baby. I get in at like 11 o'clock p.m. I get there, Lauren immediately pours me a glass of wine and then another glass of wine. And I'm sitting there like I also, keep in mind, got way behind, didn't have dinner. I had 1 protein bar, like 1.5 protein bars since like 2 p.m. Again, it's like midnight at this point. I am falling asleep, getting drunker by the minute, and Lauren goes, "Oh, you didn't come here to sleep." I said, "I have a 6-month-old baby." Yeah, I did come here to sleep a little bit. And I think I had like
shit that week.
No, I did not. We worked and drank and did not sleep.
Yeah, because then I came over super early the next day. You were like hungover.
Yes, I was.
Oh yeah, that was great. I was like, we kicked off the trip with like us staying up till like 2 in the morning, but it was so fun.
It was a great time.
But imagine being with 2 Laurens. The one time I went to the Olympia with Lauren and her mom.
Oh.
Her mom had like 10 champagne bottles in there. And I was to a point where I was like physically like I can't put anything else in my body. Like I'm so full and like so bloated, especially because champagne is super bubbly. And Lauren and her mom were just like pouring and pouring. They're like, no, you need some more. And I'm like, I'm gonna explode.
Okay, but here's what's hilarious about that. So the day that we like before you got there, literally we had been, what's the thing called in Epcot where you drink?
Food and wine.
Yeah, the Food and Wine Fest. So we went to that. So we're like, all right, we'll go on a few rides and then we'll drink around the world, right? So anybody who hasn't been there, there's like, I don't even know how many, but there's at least 10, maybe 15 like countries, and they do a really cute job. And there's a bunch of different stuff. And the Food and Wine Fest is really fun. And there's some drinks like in front of like each country, and then there's some just like kind of, I don't want to call it a carp, like a stand-up type thing. So there's a lot of alcohol and a lot of food, but we didn't really eat a lot of food. We drank at basically every fucking country, and we had plans to eat dinner at the last one, and we were so fucking hammered that we were like, we gotta stop midway and eat something. Like we're not gonna make it. So we're going all the way around. We're finally hitting the last one, and then we're having margaritas in Mexico, and then we're like the park's closing. My mom's like, we gotta get one more drink. We gotta circle back to the front, and I'm like,
oh my god,
bro. So we go all the way back, we get another one, and then we come back, and that's when Karina met up with the mom. I was like, oh, we'll open champagne for Karina's here. We got to celebrate the Karina's here.
Yeah.
Literally been drinking all day.
I had so much champagne that night.
Oh yeah, that's
all bubbly.
I don't know. I will admit,
Fun though. It's a fun time.
I am a drink. I
If you're with the Conlins, you will be guaranteed a fun time.
And it is, everybody needs a little bit of like loosening up sometimes, just not like, you know, when you're dead ass tired and haven't eaten. Okay, next topic to rant on: protein labeled foods with really no protein or minimal protein or really not even a protein source. So example again is you're at the grocery store and you see a bottle of a box of Special K labeled Special K protein.
Like the Fiber One protein cereal bars. I had a
Exactly.
client who would eat 2 of those a day, and then she realized she would like blow through her fats, and she's like, "Why are my fats so like they're gone by the end of the day?" And she's like, "Oh, it was these protein bars that had 13 grams of fat in like a cereal bar and 10 grams of protein."
and like 1,000 grams of chicory root and fucking all the like.
Well,
Oh
I was
yeah, it
gonna
was like
say, did she
soy
poop her pants?
Yeah, I'm like, how's her asshole doing? I'm gonna worry about
I think she had it so that she
Chicory-
could get her fiber in. So
Oh, okay, okay.
A chicory root is like, it hurts me. Like if I have way too much, I'm like, I'm in pain. Like I'm not moving.
some people are super sensitive to like added fibers. Like
Yeah.
it's so weird. Like, and then again, some people will do like what Danielle said, like they'll have like multiple. So then you're just like, if you have like one every once in a while, it's probably not a big deal. But if you're having 2 every day, like that shit's not gonna be, that's not gonna end well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for most
Or like
people.
another, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, for most people, that's not going to end well.
Oh yeah, and I was gonna say obviously like another very famous like commercial deemed high protein source is peanut butter. When we all know like yeah, there's some protein in it, but it's mainly a fat. And
carb.
I would just for any of these foods that say like oh high protein, look at the nutrition label and see if there is actually the most if protein is the highest amount of macronutrient in there, then that's a good high protein source. But if it's like 50 carbs and like 5 grams of protein, it's not very high protein.
Yeah.
What used to kill me were the Power Crunch bars because they are so good. And they're like labeled literally a protein bar. I mean, like
Yeah.
you find them in like the protein bar aisle, like where there's like Quest bars and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's again 13 grams of fat, and they taste so good, and it's so easy to have them. But
Isn't there like no? There's like 10 grams protein, right? Like it's like
That's
pretty
like
low.
8 or 10.
yeah, it's very low.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It's like a protein bar, but there's no protein, there's no fiber. It tastes like a really good wafer cookie.
yeah. Oh god, those wafer cookies are so fucking good.
Mhm.
And then
I
especially that
suppose
kind of
there's,
stuff too. Like they're gonna, it's not gonna be like even a complete protein source, right? So it's gonna
yeah,
be a few grams, like the Special K or like peanut butter or whatever. It's gonna be a few grams of protein, but it's a plant-based protein, which is not necessarily bad, but that's needs to be in conjunction with another whole protein source. So it's just marketing BS is very frustrating. And what sucks is that there will be people like I haven't been there in a while, but there was I remember one of the times I went to Costco recently, there was like a whole like keto section, right? And like it's just all high fat, high calorie foods, and people are like flocking to it. And I'm like, I'm looking at what else is in your cart. You're not doing keto. Like there's no part of you is doing keto. So like why are you adding this just because it says keto? That doesn't mean that it's good or even remotely like a positive thing for your goals right now. And like that's that's why people are having it. Like they're not going there because they wanted that like keto food. Like
yeah.
so
And
Yeah.
it's, I mean, with the protein foods, it's not inherently a bad thing, obviously, to
yeah.
have the higher protein source, especially if you're already eating that food. So if you're already going to get Special K cereal and you're going to get the Special K with protein, then like, cool, that's fine. It's just like you said, it's the deception of it all that's frustrating for me. Like, my mom has, wanted to get more healthy, and so we did habit based tracking for her, and it worked really well. But she'd be like, I had a serving of protein this morning, and that was my Special K cereal, and I had to say, that's not really what we're looking for, but I understand why you would have thought that. But again, let's look at the food label. And it's really easy if you don't have that understanding to just trust that, because why not? But
Yeah, especially when
again,
we
not inherently bad.
yeah, especially when we have like our clients who just do the habit tracking, or if we're working with intuitive people, intuitive eating, and people who are just focusing on that. one of those goals, or just make sure that you get in like 3 boluses of protein or 3 servings of protein. And if they're really not familiar like with the macronutrient breakdown, they could think that the Special K cereal with 6 grams of protein, that's my serving of protein.
Yeah.
And when they're like, no, that's not really it. So that's
Mhm.
definitely something good to talk about.
So frustrating. Oh, here's
too.
another good one. You're perfect. You don't need to change. You shouldn't want to change.
Hannah's face with that one.
Everyone's eyes go to the back of their head.
This is just frustrating because I think that what it does is there's a lot of layers here, right?
Mhm.
And yes,
We could talk about Adele, for example.
the what?
Oh, she looks amazing.
Adele, for example, how like Adele lost a ton of weight. She looks amazing, so
Uh-huh.
beautiful.
What's
And then like there's this, are you familiar with like Adele, the singer?
yeah, but what's wrong with her, or what happened?
So she was obviously a little bit heavier. She lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
And she looks amazing now, right? And there was all these photos of her before and after. And like she had a ton of pushback from like, random people on social media saying like, oh, you are like pushing an unhealthy view of a woman's body, like you're not one of us anymore, you are like, just shaming against, just body acceptance and self-acceptance. Now I'm over here like, okay, so you guys are all mad that she's gonna live longer now because she's not, like her predisposition for atherosclerotic diseases are probably much lower now. And so that's where like, and obviously this falls into the whole haze movement, and we've made a podcast on that, where it's like, yeah, but you have to understand where you draw that line of like, okay, is this actually healthy for you though?
Yeah.
Stay maybe in an unhealthy position.
I think that's the crux of it, is that it's not necessarily just about like Adele wasn't like, oh, I hate myself and how I look. Like you can be super, super lean. And we all know people like this. And I think everybody listening can probably relate to people like this. You can have the most amazing physique in the entire world, or deemed the most amazing physique, right? Or whatever you deem is the most amazing physique. And you can still hate yourself and hate your life and be very, very unhappy. So it's not about saying that you want to change your body because of those reasons. It's like, hey, I want to change because this is my new goal. I want to work towards something, and I want to be a healthier version of me. And obviously none of us know Adele and know her reason, but there's so many examples of that. Like people who were in a position to where they maybe weren't as healthy, and then they did change, and then they did get pushed back. And it's always so interesting for me to see that. It's like, wait, why is that happening that way when we should be like, we don't know why she did it, like, or really anything about her situation. And just because you want to change what you physically look like does not mean that you are doing it for a negative reason. And like that's always what seems to be like with that, like what Sam said, like the don't change, like you're perfect how you are. Like that idea is like that somebody cannot change because they simply want to. Like it's only because they want to do it for negative reasons. Like you don't know that. Like why would we assume that?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
firmly of the belief that like you can like yourself while you want to change. Like I work with my clients on that all the time, where it's like just because we have this goal doesn't mean we can't be happy with where we are and the stair steps on the way to this big goal, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get there faster if you can accept yourself where you are. Because I like when people say like you can't hate yourself into a body that you love, because if you hate yourself here, you're probably going to hate yourself there. It's not about your physique, but that doesn't mean you have to like love yourself where you are and stay where you are. It's I think it was Andy Frisella who talked about this once. He's like, if you're gonna you don't like your body, but you stand in the mirror every day and say like, I love my body, I love my body, I love my body, that's just going to create more pain, because you know it's not true and you're lying to yourself. Until you're doing the things to get you to where you want to be, you're not going to feel that way. So again, like you can still like yourself, you can still feel perfect the way you are, but you can still want to improve and get better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a really good example of that. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if anybody doesn't know, he was very, very overweight for many years, like 350 pounds overweight. I mean, he's a tall guy, but he was very like under muscle, over fat. And now, I mean, his his body, and his, not just his body is completely changed, but his mindset, his mentality, and like because of all that, he's been able to be a better business owner, which has then created a lot of great products and a lot of great jobs for people. So like you never know what that trickle down effect is going to have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a saying for like this one CrossFit company that I really like. It says like better athletes make better people, just
Mm.
because of all the principles that
Oh,
you learn in athletics. Like you have to work for your results, and like it's not going to pay off immediately. You have to be patient. You have to persevere. But another one who got a lot of flashback on social media, or pushback on social media, was Lizzo. So,
mhm.
like, obviously, like, we
Yeah.
don't suggest her going on a detox, but she announced that she was doing some detox. And then social media was like, how dare you? This is so unhealthy. Whereas, like, obviously, we would recommend other like avenues to do that. But the fact that she just wanted to take some step in a direction to improve her health, she got like all this shame for it, which is where I have the problem with
Yeah.
this, like, don't change, you're perfect. It becomes almost harmful to people who like actually really want to improve because they do love themselves so much that they want better for themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to put that.
yeah.
I didn't you say Jacqueline Hill was getting issues too? Like, wasn't she
Yeah.
trying to like,
Yeah, and
you know,
she documented. Jacqueline Hill was said, "Hey, like I'm gonna document like my health journey, my fitness journey." She also got a lot of pushback, like, why are you pushing this like diet culture? This is so unhealthy, blah blah blah. And
like she got unhealthy. Like,
she made a video saying like all these negative side effects, like her mood swings, her periods were like unbearable, and it was all because of the rapid weight gain that she had gained in 1 to 2 years. And so that every one of her doctors told her that, her OB, her like general doctor, and they said, like all of this is happening because of your rapid weight gain. You need to lose some weight. And so she was like, yeah, I need to lose weight. I'm going to do it. How I'm going to do it. But everyone was coming at her like, you know, you're not accepting yourself for who you are. This is like toxic. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy.
it's
She just wants better periods. Like, come on.
and it just comes down to the fact that it's like, no, like you can want to like push yourself and challenge yourself, and some
Yeah.
people do that in a physical sense, some people do that in a competitive sense, some people do that in an intellectual sense. We would recommend doing it in like all different ways, right? But like some people at different periods of their life are going to choose different things, and like that should not be frowned upon. Like you should always be wanting to make yourself better in some capacity, and what that capacity looks like may at some point be your body and your health. Other times might be something else, right? But like we shouldn't shame people for that. And it's just, that is just such a frustrating concept that's been now perpetuated on, it seems like, on social media, and it's just like, I don't know why this got started. Like, can't get down with that. So
Last thing I'll say on this is I feel like too when you don't have a goal, when you're not working towards something, you tend to create problems in your life that are end up being
dude,
negative problems because you
yeah,
need something to focus on and put your energy into. And so having a goal to improve your life in some way is going to make your life better in on the whole. And if you don't know what that is, it doesn't have to be body related. It doesn't at all. But the encouraging of someone to not change is really damning them to more misery than just accepting a body that they don't love.
100%. That was
I've
like perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a handful of clients and just people that I know who use fitness and bodybuilding as a vice to kind of keep them away from like their previous alcohol addiction or their previous like smoking habit. Like that helps them to focus on, staying away from those things. And
Yeah.
that's where I look at like this lifestyle bodybuilding and or any sport, like wow, like this can really change people's lives for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you can change it for the worst, right? But it's like there's a lot of potential for it to change people for the like for the
Yeah.
positive. And like what you said, Sam, was so true. Like I feel like when people don't have something that they are striving towards, they become so focused on things that one don't really affect them, right? Like they just create these like scenarios and like insert themselves in situations that really aren't affecting them or they can't change at all. And then that creates hopelessness feelings in general, and then that becomes like this whole cycle of like, well, now I have nothing that I'm working towards, and then I'm focusing on these other things that I can't control, and then now I feel helpless, and then it's like this whole loop, and it's really, really sad, and it's like, I mean, I think we've all been there where we're like, I'm just kind of coasting, right? And then you're like, oh fuck, why am I making things harder on my, like I'm literally making something harder on myself right now. Like this is not okay, you know? And we always have people who work with like, man, I like when I had this going on, I was able to do so much. And it's like, yeah, because you had that thing to focus and it like anchored you, and then everything else kind of fell into place around it. Instead of just kind of like aimlessly moving around, you have nothing that you're able to focus on. So
Yeah.
mm.
Oh, okay. Next one is
This is why this is called the rant, right?
yeah, we're going up.
Hits out.
Not going 10 pounds above stage weight. Lauren, kick it off.
Yeah, this was one of my contributions because, bro, nothing bothers me fucking more than this. And we've talked about this on different podcasts, but if you're new here, hey, we don't support this at all. And this is why. First and foremost, just the obvious. A client who is 5 feet tall versus a client who is 6 feet tall. Why would you even in like any capacity say a comment like that, like 10 pounds on stage? 10 pounds for somebody who's 5 foot might make sense. 10 pounds for somebody who's 6 foot probably doesn't make a lot of sense. And this notion is perpetuated so heavily in female physique sports. Not really the men. I don't really hear this from the guys. I mean, I don't coach a lot of male physique competitors. I have a handful, but it's mostly the female physique competitors. And what's hilarious about this is that most of the time, these chicks don't have enough muscle to begin with. So now you're taking somebody who needs time and needs to build tissue, which means calories and likely some added body fat in order to make that process happen. And now you're restricting them to a certain weight. And the way you're restricting them is you're not getting their calories up and you're continuing to keep activity high. So now you've literally not accomplished any of your goals. You haven't recovered from the last diet and you haven't built any muscle. So how are you going to expect your next prep to be even the same? It's definitely not going to be better. It's probably going to be worse. So for some people, they might be able to stay within 10 pounds. I have certain clients who do that, not because I'm making them within that 10-pound range, but because that's simply where their body fat sits and that's how small of a person they are. For most people, it's not going to happen. I understand the idea behind it is to not let somebody get so far from their stage weight that because if you are at a really high body fat and you need to cut down to stage lean, you're going to run the risk of losing a lot of lean tissue, right? So that does make sense, right? You don't want to, rebound and be, 5'2" and need to drop 40 pounds to get to stage. Like that's going to be pretty tough, right? Obviously it can be done, but it's not going to be ideal. So I understand the concept, but I know people who literally will, if somebody gets near that 10 pound, they start dieting them and start doing cardio. And they're in this recovery period. You're like, this is completely counterintuitive. And like, they might have a better body comp at 12 pounds above. So what is this arbitrary trend? For people to think that that's not a real thing, people legitimately do this. Coaches legitimately do this. Still.
Yeah, I was gonna say the process is actually counterintuitive to the goal of like reverse dieting, because some people, like you said, the taller chicks need more body fat, need more calories to actually build muscle so that they look better next time they're on stage. And then they get back on stage 3-4 times and they wonder why they're not doing any better. Well, you can't make any changes if you're trying to stay within a calorie range that's not enough and trying to stay within 10 pounds. One of the more recent clients, and this is very true that this is still prevalent. And I was honestly surprised by this because this is something I heard, like in like 2015, 16, but I didn't just take on a client, but one of my newer clients was like, the old coach that I was with told me that I shouldn't be above 10 pounds above my stage weight. And we're getting there and I'm getting pretty nervous. This chick is 23 years old. Okay. She's in that, what I would deem metabolically plastic. Like she needs to be tapping into her ability to build muscle at this age. And I'm like, we're not going to restrict you at this time that you have the greatest ability to build muscle. We're going to feed you. We're going to like not overwork you, and we're going to focus on building muscle for your long-term goal. But yeah, it is pretty crazy that this is still like a fear inflicted upon many female physique athletes, and they come to us and they're like, "Oh no, I think we need to diet again." And I'm like, "No, we don't need to diet again. Like, you definitely need more food, especially if you want to build more muscle."
Yeah, and if we're talking about a competitive physique athlete, this is a very different story than a lifestyle client who wants to change their body comp, right? Because when you're talking about a physique client, you are working in extremes on both ends. You have to be extreme. Everybody knows you have to be extreme during the deficit. That's obvious. But then people kind of tiptoe around this. I'll just kind of be at maintenance. You're like, no, no, no. If we want extreme on this end, we also need to push on the other end. We need to push as much as we can to gain muscle, to build, etc. It doesn't mean that you need to, again, rebound 2 weeks after your show and gain 40 pounds. That's not what we're talking about. But we do need to push on this other end as well. And a lot of people are just completely forget about that. They just think, oh, I need to diet and then maintain. That only works if you are a lifestyle client who is not going that far away from your set point each time that you diet. So it's just a very different conversation, and it is so frustrating, especially because most female, in particular, bikini athletes, and this is who they're mostly talking to, right? They don't have enough muscle. I mean, some people are certainly muscular enough. That is true. Most people are not. So it's like you have to take that in consideration, especially if you're talking about a natural athlete. And even if you're talking about an enhanced athlete, there's only so much tissue that you can add in a short amount of time that's going to look right. It's just the way that it works. You know what I mean? Like, our bodies are capable of a lot, but it's still going to take some time. So it's just, oh, I hope that thing can fucking die, but it still hasn't. So we're still fucking here talking about it in goddamn 2021. Fucking 10 pounds above stage weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a client do, like, she sent in her photos to get analyzed by one of those like coaches that like analyzes stage photos. And he was like, if you want to be pro, you can't gain a bunch of weight in the off season. You need to stay relatively stage lean.
And I
So
know who this is. And
obviously,
she's a very petite person too, which is also funny. You know what I mean? It's not like,
yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's still, we've kind of worked to get that out of her head. But it's still very much prevalent because, I mean, she paid for this guy to analyze photos. This guy said, this is what you need to do. He's a top like level bikini coach. So obviously she's going to trust him.
yeah.
So it's just really hard when she needs to gain muscle mass that she does still have that fear of gaining too much body fat or gaining too much weight.
Especially, I feel like with the direction bikini is going, and maybe like I'm a bit out of the loop, but I feel like these chicks are getting more and more muscular, like by the year, you know, especially if you want to remain a natural athlete, like you're going to have to be patient and you're going to have to take time, at least, you know, a few years. If you don't need to consecutively diet, just some time to just focus on building and building. Because realistically, these chicks are jacked nowadays.
And like I said, there are some clients who have enough muscle, and those are the people that they can do short off season. They don't need to gain a bunch of weight. That's fine. That's the outlier, you know. So if just have in your mind that it's probably not going to be that, and it doesn't need to be this huge weight gain, but unless you're very, very small and petite, it's going to be outside. I mean, 10 pounds. I'm like, now again, I'm so tall, but you know, like, it's just
Taller than average.
I guess. Well, I mean, technically, yes. That's accurate, Karina.
What is the average for females?
Like 5'4"?
5'4".
Really?
4,
What?
5.
Yeah, Danielle, you're very
Yeah,
tall.
you're a giant, Danielle.
Yeah, you're a giant. If I'm tall, you're a giant.
I thought 5'7" was the average. Okay.
What?
No,
Super
that's not like the
tall,
male
Danielle.
average.
Oh.
It's
I
like
really wouldn't be
5'4".
surprised if that's like the male average is probably like 5'8",
Like
5'9".
5,
Like, I mean,
11, 5'10", I think male is.
Yeah, I think it's like 5'11".
what? Oh, okay.
For males, yeah.
Wow.
See, that seems taller than I would think. Okay, let me look this up.
Some males are
rant
commented.
topic.
Average height for men, 5'9".
We were close.
5'10", 5'11".
I said 5'8", 5'9". Okay, and then
Should we just skip
5'4" is women.
Hey,
right in average.
Okay, while Lauren is
No,
on
I
her
have the
phone,
weirdest
let's
shit
talk
on
about
my
the next
fucking
topic.
tabs. Whew, okay, sorry.
Okay, because the next topic is Lauren's ADD.
Oh wow, we segued.
That's
Beautifully.
perfect.
What a fucking
Okay, Lauren
segue!
doesn't actually have ADD, but
Well,
wait, do you?
Undiagnosed.
yeah, I was like, I mean,
Undiagnosed?
honestly, I feel like if I went to a psychiatrist, they'd diagnose me with a lot of things. So I just avoid that. But I mean, I'm pretty. You're like, oh God, you check all of the boxes here. No, I don't think I have the hyperactive part. But I do.
Me and Sam were like,
Oh, okay, maybe I do.
You like literally can't stop moving during like any podcast.
You don't sleep lately.
Yeah, you know what? Okay. Anyways, so yeah, ding ding ding.
we're
Yeah,
actually
no,
having an intervention right now.
I'm like, is this what this is, you guys? Like, I'm like, I'm fucking leaving. I'm fucking leaving.
It's a
No, but
roast
so
Lauren
in
podcast.
women, ADHD and ADD in general does like present differently in women versus versus males, and especially like when kids are growing up. So that's why they always used to think it was like a male disease, because it just presents very, very differently. Quite like autism. But anyways, so yeah, I probably have
You're neurodivergent, Lauren.
yeah, there we go. I'm neuro that's the we should fucking write about that. Actually. I'm gonna get canceled for that. So I'm sorry. I don't know whoever decided to lump those things together. I think that is so inappropriate, but
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm
what
not
was-
hating on ADD by having this be a topic because I am diagnosed ADD, which I know literally anybody could get diagnosed ADD with the diagnosis process, but I went in for a reason because I thought I had a problem, and I am diagnosed. It's just so funny because Lauren, Lauren can literally I'm gonna say not say can, but Lauren tries to do like 4 things at one time, and it just you're like, hey, can we go back to what we were talking about like 15 minutes ago while you were doing this and saying this and probably thinking about this, right?
no, we were joking about this before we started, but literally, so Jenna was here. We're actually going to have her on the podcast. She's a behavioral analyst. She's one of my like first clients ever. We're super good friends. So she came into town, and I was on the couch. We were both sitting on the couch, and I was doing something. I was either like answering a message or like answering something right on my phone, and I was thinking about something else, and then I literally started talking to her about a completely different topic, and I was like, oh my God, like why am I like this? She was like, yes, we see this in like, okay. So yeah, my brain is like, you guys ever see Inside Out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember
long time ago,
Ding
yeah.
Dong, like the little like
Yeah.
thing, like the little clown that was like yeah, that's me. Like
Good movie. Oh, bing bong.
It's okay. This is why we have an itinerary for next time we get together.
yes, oh my God. Here's what's funny though. I'm so like OCD and like organized, and then but I also have this like raging but yeah, we learned from our mistakes, and we still got a lot done, but it was very chaotic, and so Dallas will be a little bit less. I mean, sure, it'll still be chaotic, but it'll be a little bit more of
Structured chaos.
yeah. It won't be. It'll be controlled chaos.
Sounds on brand. Okay.
That's what the podcast is rebranded. Listen, if you guys have any like. We've been wanting to rebrand the podcast because I mean, technically this is a roundtable, but the other ones aren't really a roundtable anymore. So we're kind of like, maybe we should have a different name. But I'm fucking have zero fucking creativity in my body, so I can't think of it. We have maladapted psychopaths, controlled chaos. Those are the only two. It's out. I mean, like there's literally nothing at this point. So
we should have a sweepstakes. People can enter in there to name ideas to win some.
And then we can offer like a month of coaching or something.
Hey,
yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't be mad. Like that's called something.
Sweepstakes. Isn't that what it's called?
Is it?
A raffle?
I was gonna say crowdsourcing, but
Contest?
isn't that for like
Just a
money?
contest.
I don't know.
Yes.
Eh? Back to my ADD. Let's pick a different topic.
Intentional diets don't work.
Somebody else
They
go
will
first.
never work, you guys. Stop doing them.
95% of all diets fail, so don't even try. That's the line. That is the line. So rant on that.
Go, Sam or Danielle.
No. Yeah, literally that's it. No, no. Diets work. It's the method in which you take to that diet that causes the problem. And most diets that are widely marketed are your quick fixes, your rapid weight losses, your non-sustainable practices. So when you can't sustain it anymore, you go back to your old ways. And not only are you back to your old ways, which are obviously higher in calories, you've also probably done some metabolic damage. So your metabolism is lower. You're on higher calories, and what's going to happen? You're going to have weight regain. And on top of that, in a rapid weight loss diet, you probably lost muscle tissue as well. So you're coming back less lean, with less muscle, and you're regaining body fat. So you're probably going to look worse than you did at the beginning of the diet. So it's not the diet that's the problem, it's the way that you did it. Did I sum it up?
Yeah, no, and when you have lost, like some of the research has just pointed to the fact that until the fat-free mass that you have lost in a diet has been restored, you will preferentially gain fat tissue. So every time you do that, you're basically setting yourself up to have less muscle and more fat. And you now have not created any good habits. And now you're having this terrible relationship with food on top of the metabolic adaptations. And this awful cycle. And it's so frustrating because I mean, I've read this paper, I've read all this research. Like this is out there, you know what I mean? Like most diets fail, but it's not because the diets are failing. It's literally because of what people are doing before, during, and after. And it's just so infuriating that this message again is being woven into so many different things. Like there was this book that I read, it was it was a book about like female like sex and like just like a really good like scientific kind of approach to like this book. And I think I actually made a video on this like last year or whatever. The book was so good and I was like, oh, I learned a lot of stuff. And then she fucking threw this in there and I'm like, first of all, bro, stay in your lane. I'm not writing a book about fucking female orgasms, right? You don't need to be writing a book on fucking dieting. And I understand what the context of it was. For women, a lot of times like sexual function is tied to like how they feel about themselves, and right, like it's just a little bit different than like just hormonal, right? Like there's context and there's like emotion and there's a lot of different things. So I understand all that. And the idea that like, if oh, if my body looks better, I'm really self-conscious, then I would be a better sexual partner, I'd be performing better. And her idea was like, hey, diets don't work, so don't even worry about that. And it's like, hey, like back to that, like the Adele argument and like that other whole point that we made in the beginning, like, no, like you should be comfortable with yourself regardless of what your body looks like in order to be somebody who can like have a sexually pleasurable experience. That's not what the conversation is. But then put in there, sandwich in that like intentional weight loss doesn't work. It's completely false. Like completely false. It's not how this works.
Yeah, the
What's
process.
the
Sorry.
what's the alternative then? Like I want to know what the argument is. Then what's the alternative? Like if someone needs to lose weight for their health, which we know there are copious amounts of people who do, what's the alternative?
That's the argument that Sam is
Intentional
that
weight
they don't
loss.
need to. You can be healthy. That's the argument, that you don't need to change.
Well,
I know. We know this.
yeah, so this ties perfectly back into like the whatever second or third topic that we were speaking on. But I can attest to, so the process that Sam laid out very elegantly at the beginning of this topic is exactly what had happened to me. So I went through a very severe diet, completely unsustainable. I went from 136 to 90 pounds in like 5 months, and then lost all my muscle. Metabolism is tanked. Then obviously not sustainable. So I ate my face off. In 1 month, I rebounded 40 pounds of all body fat. I'm telling you, wasn't on drugs, so that definitely wasn't muscle, right? So in like I was actually looking through recent photos of me, and it really took, because of like the metabolic adaptation, I won't say damage, that had on me, and my tendency to kind of, after that I was like, oh my god, I'm so overweight, I look terrible, I need to diet again and again and again. I really didn't get that initial binge eating weight off until last year. If you like look at photos of me throughout the years, like my face is pretty like puffy still up until like the beginning of 2020. And so now I feel like I'm back at like my normal healthy size. And so another kind of point to that, that has some really like long lasting repercussions, like if you're not careful, which is why whatever diet you do, it has to be sustainable, and that's the one that's going to work. It's not that diets don't work in general. It's like the one that you go forward with has to be sustainable for you, and that's what we always try to practice with our clients.
So frustrating that that's still around too. And the reason I brought that up is because, well, one, it aggravates me and we can rant about it. But more importantly, I legitimately saw a video on that today. Like it was scrolling and like some chick was saying that. And she like the video was like 95 to 98% of diets like fail. So like you shouldn't even be trying this. It's gonna be detrimental and this and that. And I'm like, how fucking what's
I
the
have clients that have lost over 100 pounds and have kept them off for
yeah.
at least 5+ years. I can tell you what we're doing is definitely working because we like preach a sustainable lifestyle.
Yes. But what I'm fucking missing the word right now. But she was sitting there as a normal weight individual who is saying these kinds of things, and that is so damaging to the person who really needs to lose weight for health reasons. So it would be like us sitting there and being like, this is a whole nother rant, right? Like when people who have tracked their food for years, then all of a sudden say that tracking food is the worst thing and it's going to create all these eating disorders, etc., right? Completely negating the fact that they have years and years and years of food education under their belt. They might have degrees, they might have experience, they might have both, whatever it is. You cannot take your situation and overlay that on somebody else who does not have that same background and situation as you. That is literally damaging the same person that you're trying to help. There's a big difference of literally being like, fat shaming. Nobody's talking about that, but actually changing your body for health purposes. And if you want to look different too, because that's your own personal goal, that's a completely different conversation. It's so frustrating to watch that. Like, it would just be like me being like, tracking your food, like, you don't need to do that. Like, just eat whatever you want. I'd be like, Sam, just eat whatever you want. Like, who the fuck am I to say that? Like, I could never say that to anybody. I've been tracking my food since I was 8 years old. There is legitimately no way that I could say that to somebody who has no experience. That, like, so awful.
And that's the thing. It's the years of tracking our food that has helped us to be able to eat, quote unquote, whatever we want. Not really, but intuitively, because it's at this point, we know what's in our food. It's very second nature to kind of understand how to feed ourselves. But the only way that we are able to have that success eating intuitively is because we have tracked our food for so long. And yeah, I attribute my ability to have a very healthy relationship with food without tracking now to 7+ years of tracking my food.
Exactly.
Same.
Yeah.
There would be no way
That'd be a whole other topic too.
yeah, you
to
can't
rant on
circumvent
is
that. Like,
yeah. I feel like intuitive eating is another thing we could rant on for a little bit too, because I feel like so many people think intuitive eating is just like you said, like eating whatever I want. And it's like,
Not really.
if that were intuitive eating, like if I ate whatever I wanted all the time, I would eat nothing but
Every night.
I eat for fucking breakfast. Like,
literally. But it's I don't know, that needs to be a whole podcast that Karina does, because Karina's so tuned in on all that. But that's something I get a lot from clients. It's like, and I know I've said it before, I was educated and it was like, I just want to eat intuitively. And it's like, but do you know what that means? Because if you don't have any education, if you don't have any awareness of what you're doing, you can't properly fuel your body and give your body what it needs intuitively. until you have that awareness.
And we are just so far removed from that we could never go
Hmm.
back, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's not even fair to compare what we know to somebody who does, like, it's just like if we were to say, yeah, I want to eat whatever I want, we would all still choose like foods that would kind of complement like all the, you know what I mean? Like digestion and muscle
Hmm.
building and recovery and this and like we would just kind of pick those foods and we might add some other things too, but it's like we wouldn't just be like, oh, you know, gonna skip breakfast and have a soda and then get a frappuccino and then, maybe have some nachos for lunch and then go slam a bottle of wine for dinner. Like, well, maybe the wine part, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's like oh, but you know what I mean? Like it's just that's what's so frustrating about that to me is that the people oftentimes, not everybody, but a lot of the people who are pushing that message are people who have a lot of education. And that's just not fair to assume that you can overlay that education on the people that you're talking to and not expect to give them some kind of baseline before we can move there. And tracking macros is not the answer. We have plenty of clients that they never even track a macro with us. That's
Hmm.
not a that's not a requirement in order to be a, healthy person, to follow, to have these health goals and physique goals. Not at all. But there needs to be some level of restraint and education in order to make good decisions, whether it's choosing to have something or not to have something.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Two more? One more? Two more?
Well, I definitely want to do one to round it out if we don't hit on it. But um, what's the next one?
Okay. I keep getting repeats. This random internet generator is not
Not
doing
very
it for me.
random,
Okay.
is it?
Drink pushers, Christmas music.
That's what I wanted to do. Okay, perfect.
Yes to Christmas music. I'm here
Fuck
for it.
Christmas
Yes to
music.
Christmas music.
And dude, I work for Christmas music. As soon as it turns December 1st, like Christmas music all the time.
All right, so I'm not a fan, and neither are my kids or my boyfriend. So we're anti-Christmas over here. But we
Yeah.
have a Christmas tree up.
Stooges.
Me and Stooges.
I like Christmas, just the music. It's not a vibe. It's not the vibe.
Stooges. Oh my god.
You said Stooges. I'm like, we're like the Three Stooges.
I'm like, oh, I don't know my holidays. My
No,
mood.
I'm definitely Ebenezer Scrooge. We know that. But
Yeah.
yeah, fuck Christmas music. Me and Danielle are definitely on the same page. Like, not with all this. I know you like it, Sam. So I'm not even.
Not even Mariah Carey's. Like,
Especially Mariah Carey's dumbass fucking song. Like, I can hear that once for the whole year, and I'm like, got my fix. We're good. Like,
I play that on my kid's toy xylophone.
didn't DMX come out with a Christmas song like a long time ago? Or there was like some
who?
there's like some heavy like hitting rapper that came out with a Christmas song, and I'm like, I can't remember who it was.
Here's the thing. My family went
I'm pro
hard
Christmas music.
for Christmas, like my whole growing up, and it's made me like completely go the other way.
Christmas version.
Yeah. So I know when I go home this week, there's gonna be, and my parents always have music on. Like, when you grow up and you don't realize that things are like you just think that what you grow up with is like what everybody does, right? Like that's what you know. So my parents have always had music on, like not like loud, but just kind of like a low level music. You have dogs and like to just kind of keep it on. And I never really realized that was like a weird thing until people would be like, "Your parents, like every time I come to your house, there's music on," and I'm like, I guess you're right, And so fucking literally fucking Thanksgiving is when that shit starts, and I'm just like my ear, like my dad, like we do it as a joke now. My dad's like, "Oh, you know what? I got to turn on," and I'm like, "Oh," and it's just like I just can't get down with it.
I like it.
See,
It reminds me of like home and like holidays when I was younger, and it like I have positive memories associated with it.
I was gonna
I
say
mean, Danielle,
same.
just
Like I'm like the exact opposite of Lauren. I grew up with it all the time, and that's what makes me want to listen to it all the time. And like we listen to a ton of Pentatonics Christmas music. That's literally all we listen to in my house right now. Like my family and my son Teddy. Like anytime I say like, "Hey Alexa, play Pentatonic's Christmas music. He like kicks his feet and smiles and he gets so excited, and it's the same song that starts every time. And so we've started our own little holiday tradition with the Christmas music. But my husband literally will like come in halfway through the playlist and be like, "Hey Alexa, play Nirvana." He's like, "I can't do this anymore."
I get it, Tom. I
He's
get
so
it.
Pentatonic's out.
What is pentatonic? This sounds like something like, I don't know.
They're an a cappella group.
Yeah.
They did a song from Nightmare Before Christmas. I'll send it to
I
you.
was like,
It's
nope,
really
nope,
cool.
nope.
They're really
It's
good.
a Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's cool.
I do fuck with that. Obviously, that is, and if anybody says otherwise, fake news.
There's definitely people
It
on
is
the
a Halloween and a Christmas movie.
yeah.
100%.
There's definitely people on the other side too. I posted on my story the other day that I was making like Halloween cookies in December, and like so many people were offended. They're like, "How could you?" And I'm like, "Because we're
How
gonna
did
go
you
far
find
if I
those?
make them." Like,
Were they like in the freezer or something?
yeah, they're like those Pillsbury, like with the And I was
I
like,
actually
well,
made cookies today. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I haven't made, it was like BOGO. You know how that fucking happens, right? I was like, oh, I need this like a fucking hole in my head. But I made them. And then, of course, I was like, why did I make 2 batches of cookies for my fat ass? Like this, like literally just myself. So I'm like, great. Like, so now I just gotta like bring them to random people. Like, do you want any cookies?
Go caroling through your neighborhood. So
I have like 45
Tool.
cookies that I'm gonna eat. I'm like, oh Jesus.
That's what happened to me when I was on my baking rampage. I was like, I guess I'll freeze these or throw them away, or I don't know what
Yeah,
I'll
you
do.
were baking hella cookies for a while.
Yeah, I was like, I'll bring them to the kids' daycare teachers, but they have like 11 teachers like in the whole entire thing. So I was like, I can't do that because now I don't have enough cookies. So ended up throwing them away.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that one of our topics on here that we're not going to get to was people who put up their Christmas trees early, and then people who give people shit for putting up their Christmas trees
Okay,
early.
so I love how you
because,
said we're not gonna
again-
get to it, but you just announced it. So that'll be our final one that we do.
Well, okay, I guess we'll talk about it. But
You'd be
okay,
like,
how do
well,
we do
here's
that
the
now?
whole topic, but we're not gonna
Well, we're not going to rant on it, but here,
that's
this is
for putting my Christmas tree up early. We had our Christmas
Same.
tree up on Thanksgiving. We're like, all
After
right,
Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving.
on Thanksgiving Day, where after I had my last slice of pie, we're like, all right, guys, let's go get the tree.
Okay, I could do that. I'm with Karina, but the like October, like people begin
October.
November, like November 1st, like Sam's like, that's me.
Oh,
November 10th, okay, November 10th this year. Here's the thing. I have a small window of time where my house can be decorated for Christmas. I love my house decorated for Christmas. I'm going to take all the time I can. And you know what? What I want to know is how my Christmas tree affects all y'all.
doesn't.
Oh,
I
is that
like
silence?
giving you shit.
Is that silence? Now you're not.
Yeah, I have
Now you're not, except for
I normally have I have a Jack Skellington like dress up as Santa Claus, like when he's Santa Claus. I have that, and then I have like a little mini tree. I didn't even take him out this year, so there is nothing in my house that's Christmas.
one thing that we should have added to the list. I don't know if a lot of people do this anymore, but I thought of it when Danielle told me that she threw away her cookies, because a pet peeve of mine is just like wasting food, obviously.
Dude,
But okay, so how about the people who like take pictures of food, like they're gonna eat it, take a bite, and then throw it away?
that is a hard. That is
That's
like
what we're talking about. Like,
no.
don't
That is
pretend
a
you're eating food and then throw it away.
no.
Anyway, sorry, that was a Lauren ADD moment. Let's go ahead and wrap this up.
That's next rant. We need to get on that, because that and people who act like they eat a shit ton and then
Yeah,
like
they don't.
and they don't.
Dude.
Like they'll be like, oh, hey, I had like a burger for lunch, and it's like, I was with you. You had a bite of a burger.
Dude,
Like that's so detrimental.
I can't tell you how many people I've met over the years who are like that. And
Why
like,
you don't lie about how much you're eating? Like, we don't care.
that's a weird thing to lie about. Like, I don't know.
I'm thinking of
It's
one
never just a little lie either.
Yeah, like I'm thinking of one specific influencer who went all around New York, like took a picture like she was
I know
about to
exactly what you're talking about.
about to eat a donut and then throws it away. Hello? What? You're in New York. Eat it.
She made it openly obvious that she was throwing it away. Like she didn't even hide it.
Yeah. Well, like obviously on social media, she was posting that she was eating it, but I knew the person who was with her, and they said like, "Oh, she would just throw it away. She wouldn't actually eat it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Huh?"
First of all, here's the thing.
I need this name of the group chat.
That's just like, just so like weird, right? Like, first of all, but then also like, why, like that
pretending to preach flexibility when you're
that
not.
person, yeah, and then that, like, there's many people who've done this. What is the point of doing that? Like, just have one fucking donut and don't go try 5 of them. Like, it's okay to not have 5 donuts. You can have one donut that you like, and then that's it. Like, it's just such a weird concept. And like, yeah, thankfully, like, we're all in a good place with food that we don't do those types of things. But it is very, very, you know, frustrating to watch on social media, because if you don't know people, or you're just seeing the outside looking in, you know, like, you know, our clients will ask us stuff, and it's like, I'm like, oh no, I know that person. We're not doing that. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, fuck it, they're just not doing that. They are doing the opposite of what they're saying. And I've confirmed that on many cases. And it's like, just ugh, sad. But this was super fun. I definitely feel like we should do this as a segment, or some type of a segment like this. People just send in stuff that they want us to talk about. I think we should do it. Tits out.
Yeah, Loco tits out. Loco
Loco
tits out.
Loco tits out.
I'm here for it. All right, so we won't do an awkward outro, but if you guys enjoyed this podcast, we would appreciate like, subscribe, share, all the stuff Danielle talks about. Go on YouTube. That's a big deal. For Danielle, it's a big deal on YouTube. You can visit our website, teamlocofit.com, for all other information. And we hope you guys have an amazing rest of your holiday season if you're listening at the end of December. And we'll talk to you next week.